Delta Force Season 4 and the global mobile version have just gone live, but there is a serious problem with the latest update that's going to cause a lot of issues for the game if it remains unchanged. Hey everybody, my name's Ben from The Beard Guys and welcome back to another Delta Force video. Today we are looking at one of the unusual decisions the devs have made with this new update, the rotational maps in the game and the timings and scheduling they're using for those. If you're looking forward to playing this recent update, checking out all the promo videos, you've probably seen stuff related to the night version of Zero Dam. You might have seen stuff to do with thermals and all that kind of stuff playing in night mode. You might have seen mention of Space City hard mode and been looking forward to trying that. Maybe you like running with your sweaty squad and you wanted to play hard mode or get some better loot, higher chance of reds dropping. You might be surprised when you see this latest graphic from Delta Force. What this is explaining is how rotational maps are going to work. Now, rotational maps is what we had beforehand, where we would see Space City normal, Brakesh normal, and Lyali Grove normal changing over a period of hours. There'd be certain times when one was available, Space City for a couple of hours, for example, then Brakesh for an hour, and then Lyali Grove for an hour, and then it'd restart. And what they've decided to do this season is continue this rotational thing in a slightly different way. We basically now have two different tiers. One of those is Space City normal and Brakesh normal, just alternating every 2 hours throughout the day. And then on top of that, there's this second line, and that features Space City hard, Zero Dam night mode, and Lyali Grove normal. The problem is this second line only features at certain times during the day. We've got this schedule here. It's listed as UTC 0. It doesn't appear to be different depending on what region you play in. This is just the timings for it. And what you can see here is from 9 a.m. UTC 0 to 5 p.m. UTC 0, only the top line features, which means there's no Space City hard mode and no Zero Dam night mode, just Space City Brakesh in normal, which is exactly what we had last season. Then if you want to play Space City on hard, you're going to have to play between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. Or if you can't get on then, you're going to have to hop on the game at midnight for an hour or maybe 4 a.m. or 8 a.m. As for the night mode of Zero Dam, that's going to be available between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Again, from 5 a.m. till 7 a.m. And then a couple more sessions in the evening. We've got 5 p.m. until 7 and then 9 until 11. Now, obviously, for some people, that's going to work well with the timings of when you happen to come on and play. But for me personally, and a lot of people, it feels like a really weird way to structure this. Having this downtime being from, 9 till 5 in Central Europe rather than just being overnight in Central Europe seems very weird. These timings here actually work relatively well for NA unless you're a night shift worker. For East Coast, this downtime period where you can't play any of the new content goes between about 4 a.m. and midday, and for West Coast it's 1 a.m. till 7 a.m, so basically no issue at all. So it seems weird we don't have a separate timing for NA servers, separate timing for EU servers for OCE. You'd feel it would make sense to have this quiet window without other stuff available if you have to have it at all during the night when the least players are going to be on. Obviously, I can only speak for myself and when I happen to be on, but I basically record content and stream the game pretty much normal working hours. I'm on from 8 or 9 in the morning till 6, 7 p.m. in the evening, and pretty much within that whole window in the UK, I don't have any of the new content available. If I stay on an hour later than normal, then I can maybe grab an hour of Zero Dam night mode right at the end of the day. But for the entire rest of my working day, I won't actually be able to make content on any of the new map features in this update. It seems kind of crazy to me. Maybe I'm just being selfish because it affects me, but I'd be really interested to hear other people's takes on how this affects them. This is feedback I've given to the devs. I heard Atson saying on his stream earlier that he had done the same thing as well. There's a lot of people who stream EU times, like Atson, like Drew, like Salty, and all sorts of other people who play during the day that are just never going to be able to play Space City Hard or night version of Zero Dam. It felt really weird turning on Twitch today and going to check out some of the streamers I know playing the new update, and then they're all just running around on Zero Dam on normal because it's the only thing available and they couldn't check out any of the new interesting features. On top of that, there's very poor messaging for this in-game. This graphic that I've showed you during the video, I'll put a link to that in the description as well, and I posted it on the Reddit as well. That was linked to in the patch notes, which is on the Delta Force official website. They posted that on their Twitter and their Discord, but if you don't follow that, it doesn't really tell you any of that information in game. If I go to my maps here and then we go to Zero Dam, you can see Zero Dam Easy, Zero Dam Normal. They're both available there, no dramas. If I go over to Space City, it tells me when Space City Normal is going to be available. That's at 5 p.m. my time. But if I go to Space City Hard, it just says nothing. Doesn't tell you when that's going to be available, even though it is apparently scheduled to come up at, I think, 8 p.m., maybe 9 p.m. my time. That should be next available. Just doesn't tell you anything there. If we go to Lyerly Grove, you can see that's the same, normal Lyerly Grove. No information as to when that's going to be available there. By the way, Space City Hard, 450,000 entry value, level 30 minimum requirement to get in. Then on the left, if we click Night Ops, so we go to the Night Ops map, you can see everything's grayed out at the moment. And if I try and click Zero Dam, it just says unavailable. Just unavailable, no timings. If I click one of the other maps, it just takes me back to Hazard Ops and gets you out of night mode. But it just doesn't give you any information about when you can play this night mode, which is probably the number one thing that everyone's coming online today or tomorrow or this week to play. So that seems like a big oversight. It seems really poor form from the developers in that regard as well. So that's about everything. I just wanted to explain how this works. So if you did want to try and plan your diary and calendar around getting into these game modes, you can do so. You've got the information. Also, I wanted to get your feedback as a community. The devs do watch these videos. They read the comments. They do take our feedback. Like I said, I've already passed on some information and they are escalating that. And I know others have as well. So anything you want to share is really useful to hear. I'm going to do a deeper dive on the patch notes coming up soon, so keep an eye out for that. And if you want to stay up to date with any other Delta Force news, tips, and tricks, then make sure you drop a sub and a like on the video. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Ben, we are the Beard Guys, and I'll see you next time.